Welcome everyone. Thank you very much indeed for attending our Joomla 3-Day. My name is Steve Burge and I'm the CEO at OS Training, and my voice is the one that you'll hear on the introductions for most of the Joomla 3 presentations today. I'm delighted you could join us. I am going to talk briefly today about my 10 favorite hidden secrets in Joomla 3. I think there are several wonderful features buried inside Joomla 3 that we don't talk about enough. And if you know about them, you'll find yourself using them regularly. So this ended up being a fill-in presentation as a presenter had to drop out at the last minute. I apologize for the slight lack of practice, but hopefully you'll still be able to get some useful tips out of this. The first tip that I have, and the one that I'm going to use to talk with you guys today, is actually not a Joomla specific issue at all. It's to do with the App Store. And the way that I managed to get a Joomla site up and running quickly to talk with you guys today was via the App Store. If you're a Mac user, and if you go to the App Store and search for Joomla, you'll find that there's an app called the Joomla Stack. I already have it installed on my computer. I downloaded it, and it produces a Joomla 3 site immediately for me. Now, they have this for WordPress and for Drupal and for Magento and a whole bunch of other platforms too. And they also have it for non-Mac users as well. There's a PC version, there's a Linux version. These come from a company called Bitnami, and I highly recommend them for people who need to get up and running quickly. The alternative is often to use a local server and then to download Joomla and then to try and do an installation and put the two together, and it can be a little bit of a confusing process. One of my hidden secrets are these Bitnami installers, which can really help Joomla beginners, or even someone like myself who needs to get a Joomla site up quickly, really make life quite a lot easier. And so I have a Joomla site that I'm working with today. My first hidden secret is available directly from the admin. And it's actually pretty similar to the App Store. It is essentially Joomla's version of the App Store. If you install a brand new Joomla 3 site and you go to Extensions and Extension Manager, you're going to see this message. The Joomla extensions directory is now available with install from web on this page. If you click Add Install from Web tab, you will basically get the Joomla extensions directory right inside your site. Almost anything that's available on the JED, on the Joomla extensions directory, will be available from here, but it'll be several less clicks. The old-fashioned way of doing things was to go to the JED, go to the JED website at extensions.joomla.org, find an extension, maybe download it, go to the developer's website, get lost a little bit, then find it on your desktop, come back to your Joomla site and upload it again. It was a confusing process often, and one that involved quite a lot of steps. With the JED being available via your Joomla site, it's a lot quicker and easier to do the installation. So here's the install from web tab available to me. The extensions are sorted by popularity at the moment. You can see that all of the categories you would normally see on the JED are available here. Let's take the example of a really popular extension such as JCE or Joomla Content Editor. It's available right here. I can click on JCE. I can click Install. Click Install one more time to confirm the process. And it shouldn't take long before Joomla Content Editor is safely installed on my site. I suspect some of you may be able to think of some of your customers, some of your potential clients who this might be a dangerous tool for. In the admin side, you can browse around and you can install pretty much anything you need to. There are still a few extensions that haven't caught up with this and don't make their extensions available here. But in my experience, nearly all of the major ones, nearly all of the most popular ones that you're most likely to use are available here. And so the install from web feature is probably my #1 favorite new feature in Joomla 3. And not only is it available for extensions, but they've made it available for languages as well. Ron from Anything Digital just gave a great presentation about how to make multilingual Joomla sites. And now there's no hunting around for the language packs that can do that for you. It's possible from your extension manager to find and install languages directly from the admin side here. So whether you want Dutch or whether you want French, you can install them directly from here. And this next little hidden secret has been around for a little while longer. It's been around since Joomla 2.5, but I keep on realizing that people often haven't found it and don't know how easy it is to use. There is, in the language manager, where you would go to manage your languages. I just added Dutch and French there. There's a little link on the left-hand side that's sometimes easy to miss, called overrides. And what the overrides allow you to do is to change almost any language or any text on your site by simply searching for it and replacing it. Oh, quick question from the audience. Does install from web work for paid extensions? I'm afraid it doesn't. Most of those at the moment still have their own installer. This is very similar to the extensions directory, that the free extensions are available directly from the install to web feature. Okay, so the example that they give in the instructions here is read more. So if you happen to have an article on your site which has the read more text after it, it's possible to change it directly from inside here. There's quite a few of these examples here. The one that it suggests is com content read more, and I'll change that text to click here to read more. And one of the beautiful things about this is there are no files to change. If you update your Joomla site, you're not going to have any problems with that breaking, and anyone can happily edit it from the admin side here. And so you can think about most of the default text you find on your site. For example, create an account. Inside the language manager and language overrides, I'll search for create an account. Okay, there's two of them. This one says MOD, which I'm thinking is short for module. And I should be able to change the text on the front of the site without any issues. So the language overrides really can come in very, very handy. Also, hiding inside this extensions tab is one of my very, very favorite features. It's the template manager. And again, it sort of abstracts away the need to dig down into the files to find things. If I go to extensions and template manager and click on templates, there's going to be the ability to browse around all the different files that make up my template and edit them and override them directly from the admin side here. Okay. Maybe I should leave that running for a second and see if I can move on to another hidden secret. Okay, hey, this tab finally came up. So I can take the example of Protostar, which is the default Joomla template for Joomla 3. And for those of you who haven't used Joomla 3, this will be a radically big change. You'll see that all of the files that are available can be browsed from inside here. In older versions, this used to be restricted, but you really can browse through all of the different files that are available in your template. And if need be, you can also create overrides as well. And one of the things that used to be complicated about making an override or replacing a core Joomla file with a file in your template is that it wasn't always easy to see what was available. One of the wonderful things that this template manager does is make all of the files that you can override really clear and easy to find. So these are the files to override all of your modules. These are the files, and we can drill down a little to override all of your components. And this is a relatively new feature inside Joomla 3. You can override individual pieces of different pages. For example, you can override your toolbar, which is up here. You can override the edit, which is the little edit icon and print and PDF icon that might appear here. There's really a wide variety of things that are clearly visible to you now. And in order to create an override file, it's really as simple as clicking on what you want. And you'll see the message up at the top, override created automatically, in the HTML folder and mod underscore login. So if I check my HTML folder where overrides normally are, you'll see that it automatically created those overrides for me. And as this is only a test site, I could modify the text directly from inside here. And I've managed to override the Joomla login form directly from the back end here. Now, it may be that once the file is being created, it may be better to do this from a text editor, perhaps via FTP, so that you have a rollback button, or that you could put this under version control if you wanted to. But it's fair to say that this really is a pretty useful feature, particularly for finding out exactly what it is that you want, exactly what it is that's available to override. And up at the top, you have a variety of different buttons in here. You can create new folders. You can create new files. With Joomla 3, the template manager is really an awful lot more powerful than it used to be. So, my favorite features in Joomla 3 so far: the install from web feature, the language manager feature, where you can install languages and then override the text, and also the template manager as well, which allows you to dig down into the files really quickly. Okay. So there are at least a couple of key new extensions in Joomla 3. There are tags, and also for me at least, I've found that Smart Search is almost like a new extension. It's been greatly improved over Joomla 2.5 when it was first introduced. For those of you that haven't used Joomla 3 and haven't checked out tags, they're basically an alternative to categories. They're definitely more flexible in quite a few ways. One of the ways in which they're more flexible is that they are much easier to add than categories ever were. Categories used to have their own separate area of the site where you would add them one by one. With tags, they can be added directly from the admin area where you're working. If any of you have ever used WordPress, the tags are a very, very similar system. They are keywords that you can use to organize and categorize your content. And not only do they apply to your articles, but the tags also work across the extensions, which make them pretty different. Oh, that's the version which make them pretty different from categories, which are isolated on your site. So before, you could really only have one category for each article, or for each web link, or each newsfeed. Whereas with tags, you can add them from the admin here. You can add multiple ones. And in this example, I applied my tags to an article, but they should also be available for other extensions too. If I add a web link, if I add a newsfeed, they should be able to tap into the same tags. So it would be possible to create a page that's listing all sorts of different items that have the same tag applied to them. And you can use that visually on the front end via a menu link. Okay, so here I am with a web link. You can see that even with a web link, all of the different extensions, all of the different tags that I have available are available to me here. And increasingly, you'll see that third-party extensions are building this in. The idea being that if you have say an events calendar together with your content and perhaps a discussion forum, it could well be possible to tag the events in your calendar, to tag the articles, and to tag forum posts with the same tag. Here I am inside the newsfeed manager, and the same thing, the same tags are available to me here. Okay, I don't have an RSS feed to hand, but the tags are significantly more flexible than the old category system, and they get shown in the same way. You can choose a menu link of tagged items, or perhaps a cloud of the different tags that you have available on your site. And if need be, you can drill down. In this case, it's showing all the different things that are available to be tagged: articles, article categories, banners, contacts, news feeds, users, web links. It's really a significant upgrade over the old category system. Okay. Also, if you've tried it in previous versions of Joomla and weren't quite able to get it to work, with Joomla 3, I would recommend giving Smart Search another try. It's had some significant improvements, and for the first time, we've been able to use it on some fairly large sites for some customers. The big benefit of Smart Search is that it allows you to present your content and allow your users to search in much more sophisticated ways. It allows you, for example, to put different weights on different parts of your search results. So you may want to put a very heavy emphasis on whether the search result appears in the title, or you may want to put a heavier emphasis on whether the search result appears in the body, or perhaps in the metadata or the URL. And via the menu system, you can create what Smart Search calls filters and content maps, which allow you to show only content from certain times, or perhaps certain authors, or certain categories. And essentially, these are predefined filters. So you can choose, using Smart Search, to show only the articles by a certain author, or perhaps you could choose a language filter, and you could choose to show only the articles in a certain language. In this example I'm pulling up, it has a timeline, so you can use this to show only articles that were published between certain dates. Oh, quick question about tags. No, they don't have anything to do with search engine optimization. I do find that tags is often a confusing word because of that. People associate it with metadata tags, with what you present to Google, and this is a different thing. Okay. One little hidden feature that becomes useful when you have more content than I have now, and one feature that I like to describe as a hidden feature because people can miss it easily, is that drag and drop has been added to Joomla 3. It's a little hard to see because you do need to click to sort by ordering, but if you have ordering in place to sort your items, it's now possible to drag and drop things in your Joomla backend to rearrange them. In this case, in my modules, I'll do the same thing. And you can see that it's highlighted that the drag and drop is active when they have these little handles available now. At the moment, I have popular tags at the top and the latest articles. It should be possible to drag the latest articles or the login forum higher up, and it's done. As simple as that. My login form is now higher up the page. So these features are a little hidden inside Joomla, but once you know where they are really pretty useful. Also baked into the core is Bootstrap. You may remember back when Joomla 3 was launched, a lot of fuss was made about the fact that it is completely mobile friendly, not only on the front, but also on the admin side of the site. And I thought I might give a quick practical demonstration of what that means. I'm the kind of person that, to be honest, makes a lot of typos sometimes when they're writing. And it may be that someone will mention it to me when I'm out and about. I hear some people say that mobile editing is not particularly useful. Well, for me, it's essential. It's essential to try and catch some mistakes that I make. By default, Joomla provides you with a mobile experience. So this is what you may see if you're on your mobile phone. And even with my thumb, I've been able to edit some articles. The toolbar at the top is nicely presented so that it's usable on a mobile version. And I have an extra tip for those of you that want to edit your Joomla site on the go. We installed Joomla Content Editor earlier. Well, Joomla Content Editor has a feature called Profiles. And one of the profiles that's available is called Mobile. Oh, a quick question from the chat. The only way to drag the order of the modules is if you are sorting by order ascending. Yes, you do need to make sure that you click that in the right direction, and then you'll see that the little these three dots will appear. Okay, so JCE has a default and it also has a mobile profile. Using the mobile profile and JCE is sophisticated enough to have a setting inside here to show it only for mobile devices. but I'm just going to enable it for my site in general at the moment. It has a very simple, very limited set of buttons that makes it much easier to edit while you're on the go. So if I choose JCE as my default editor, and now mobile is available there, I should find that my editing experience when I'm on the mobile version is significantly simplified and significantly easier to use. Oops, that was perhaps a little too simple. JCE Profiles, it should by default present just 4 or 5 buttons, just the major ones that you may want to see. We're running a little bit out of time, so I'm not going to go ahead and set it up. But inside mobile, you can choose just a handful of buttons, and those make editing on your mobile a much more practical experience than editing with a full suite of buttons. So we use JCE on all our sites, and this is the only hidden tip, the only hidden secret about Joomla that I'm going to provide that doesn't come from the core. We've often been in situations, whether it's teaching Joomla, or whether we teach Joomla or sometimes WordPress, we teach a variety of platforms. We've often been in the situation where people, they're used to using Microsoft Word, and to be honest, they feel really uncomfortable getting out of anything that looks like Microsoft Word. And so we found that using JCE, it's flexible enough to be adapted for a complete suite of editing tools. If we're building a site for most customers now, we will use JCE as the only thing that people need to do to edit their content. JCE has, for about $20 a year, a whole suite of extra plugins that allow you to add captions, to handle files from Amazon, to crop and edit and resize images. It allows you to, there should be a media manager to insert videos. And someone else had a JCE installation problem earlier during our presentations. I think it may have cropped up again. I think I'll have to edit that feature back into the video of this presentation. It's possible using the link feature. See if I can demonstrate quickly. On a Joomla 2.5 site, I'm afraid. Using the link feature to drill down to allow people to link. So you can link to other content on your site using the little button. you can search for any other content on your site. You can browse and easily find content to link to. And what I find that people often miss, because wonderful as JCE is, it definitely has a little bit of a tendency to these small and tiny buttons that are easy to miss. It has a browse feature here that allows you to browse around your entire upload directory. And link to files. And you can upload them from here as well. So one of the ways in which we use this, there's a very old picture of me. One of the ways in which we use this is if people are using PDFs or Word documents or things that they need to upload. With a little bit of training, they can make a link, click Browse, click Upload. They can find a file from their desktop, say the Keynote from there. They can upload it, and they can link to it from here. And using the image editor button, this is with the $20 Image Manager Extended feature. They have the ability to edit the images to their heart's content as well. They can resize and crop and rotate their images and add some effects as well. So one of the approaches that we take with a lot of people who are just running their own Joomla site, who may not be the most tech-savvy people, is to try and let them do everything through JCE. JCE settings are sometimes a little hard to find, but once you dig into it, there's almost nothing that a content editor, that a content updater isn't able to do that you can't set up for them through JCE. A quick question, is there any extension to link JCE in K2? Yes, if you make JCE the default on your site, it will work for K2 also. A quick question, can you spend a few minutes showing how to use MicroData? I think we may have to grab that extra plugin, I'm afraid, and I'm running out of time. But what I'll do, I'll make a note and I will do a little explanation on our blog. I'll write a tutorial on MicroData with JCE. Okay, so favorites so far. Number 1, install from web. Number 2, the language manager. Number 3, the template manager. Number 4, smart search. Number 5, tags. Number 6, the mobile version of Joomla makes it really easy to edit on the go. Number 7, using JCE for everything. Number 8, dragging and dropping things around. Oh, number 9, the Joomla App Store. I'm afraid I did those last two out of order. And finally, my 10th hidden secret is that Joomla now has something which has been a real pain to set up on some other platforms that we use, and that is two-factor authentication. I'm not sure about you guys, but after some of the security problems that banks and that even Gmail and some major service providers have had lately, we've been on a big push inside our business to turn on two-factor authentication for everything. At least personally, I tend towards using Google Authenticator, which asks you for a 6-digit code. Often on your phone, that's the way I use it, is via an app on my phone. It asks you for a 6-digit code before you log in. I know also some people that use YubiKey, which is a thumb drive, and I'm not so familiar with YubiKey, but I believe it's as simple as carrying around the thumb drive on your keyring and inserting it into the computer when you want to log in. But this is now available in the core of Joomla, and with the authenticator turned on, I'm glad this is the last one because I have the potential to lock myself out here. It's possible to turn on two-factor authentication and to enable it for individual users, or to enable it for all of your administrators if you want to be really careful. So we have our bank accounts, we have all our key accounts, we have our Gmail, really anything that allows us to use two-factor authentication we do now. And it's possible to enable it for individual users. Tell you what, in the options, you can enable it for groups. I'll go ahead and see if, as the last step in this presentation, I can enable it for myself. I know that there are websites out there and there are people that get a big kick out of making fun of those barcodes that sometimes you'll see around advertisements. Okay, I'm on the wrong screen. Oh, the name escapes me now. I'm having a blank brain moment. You'll recognize them as soon as we bring them up here. Well, at least with Google Authenticator, that's the key to making it work. And it's actually the first time I've ever seen those barcodes, QR codes, that's the name of it. The first time I've ever seen those QR codes be a useful feature. So inside each user account, there's now going to be a two-factor authentication tab, and I've enabled Google Authenticator. There we go. I can now, I'm just getting out my phone, and I'm going to take a picture of that QR code. Snap. It's given me 884442. Fortunately, that code will be gone in 5 minutes, so anyone that watches the video wouldn't be able to access this site. And now, and this may be the point I lock myself out. Now, if I access the backend, in addition to the username and password, there's going to be the secret key here. And without that, I'm not going to be able to access my site. With that code, I can now log in, and I think if it's good enough for your bank or good enough for your other important accounts, I think it's probably good enough for your Joomla sites as well. We have a quick question on it. How effective is it if not all users use it? To be honest, I think it should be used for all administrators, because it definitely becomes a security problem if one administrator uses it and one doesn't. You're not really making yourself quite as safe as you could. But I don't think it's worth bothering with for ordinary users, particularly if you don't store any credit card details, which you shouldn't be. But particularly if you're not running an e-commerce site, then I think it would be probably more annoying than useful for the majority of your end users. Okay, good question. What can you do if you don't have your phone? Well, in the admin, in the user manager, we did see that there are some backups, and that's what they tend to suggest with these QR codes, with this two-factor authentication, is that you print out a backup code and you put it in your wallet or you have it around with you. But yes, that is one of the downsides to two-factor authentication, that if you don't happen to have your login device, say if it's the 6-digit code with Google or the thumb drive with YubiKey, you will be locked out. And a question about QR codes in general. Is it possible to insert it into an article layout? Yes, I'm pretty sure there are some extensions available on the Joomla directory. I think the best place to check that would be the install from web feature. Oh, there we go. Those are the one-time emergency passwords. They recommend that you have a copy in your wallet just in case you need it. So QR codes inside articles, extensions, QR codes. Yes, maybe I shouldn't have made fun of QR codes. They seem to be more popular than I had assumed. Looks like there's about 8 or more extensions that will do it for you. Okay, question. Is two-factor authentication safer than putting an htaccess with password in the administrator folder? I would probably do both, to be honest. Certainly that's what we try and do. That you'll notice that when I visited ostraining.com, there was an additional password area before we logged in. We do that through the htaccess file and admin tools. And if you're feeling really safe, you can do both. To some extent, they are a little redundant, having that extra layer of password protection there. But one of the reasons that we like to have that htaccess password is to stop bots. There was a time, maybe 2.5 years ago, when a lot of people were hitting our admin area with spam bots. And a couple of times that brought our site down. And the way that we prevented that in the future was putting up the htaccess password. So most bots really can never access our admin area, even to try to enter a password. It's been a big help. Okay, that is, with two-factor authentication, the final Joomla 3 hidden secret that I have. Well, thank you guys very much indeed for sticking with me during the backup presentation.